Hello, and in this training video, we are going to record a net negative insurance payment. This video is going to cover how to post net negative EOBs within Revolution EHR when the payment is an actual negative amount from the insurance payer. If you have a positive payment where some of the patients have positive amounts and some patients have negative amounts, for an overall positive payment going into your bank account, this is not the video going over that. This is also not going over recoupment situations, or if you're receiving an EOB stating a recoupment is coming at a later time. This is an actual EOB where there may be some positive people and some negative people, but the actual overall amount from the insurance company is negative, and it's usually creating a forward balance situation that you cannot cut a check for. In order to post your negative EOBs, we're going to need a few different write-off reasons. You can set up additional write-off reasons by going into your admin area and on the left selecting Data Configuration, Accounting, and Balance Write-off Reasons. In the top right, you want to select your plus button, and here you can type in the name of the write-off reason. The write-off reasons you are going to need today are going to be a negative check or a net negative check, something along those lines. You'll need a lab charge or chargeback, depending on what you call it. And then you're going to need your normal contractual write-off. To start your payment, you're going to go into your accounting module. You can go to invoices or payments. I'm going to go into payments. On the left, you want to select your receive payment for and then insurance. And here you can select the payer. In this example, we're going to use IMED, so I'm going to single click IMED as my payer. Your cursor automatically defaults in the upper left. We are going to leave this amount to 0. It defaults to 0, and that's exactly what we want. The reason we're leaving this amount as 0 is that IMED is not taking money out of our bank account. They are not going in and saying negative so-and-so that they put on their EOB. What they're doing is that negative amount they're going to give you is going to roll forward or create a forward balance for any negative balances in the future until you get to a positive state. Depending on the methods you use, you want to either select check, EFT, or other. I'm going to select EFT for this example. And then you're also going to want to make sure to enter in your reference information so you can tie back to this. Now, I always add an additional comment about these net negative payments. You do not have to add in any additional comments. You can leave your payment just as is. I do like to add an additional comment notating the amount of the negative and the amount of the forward balance moving forward. Adding this comment will add like a communicator to all the patients we're going to post today, notating what happened. I always put an FB notating that forward balance without typing it out. If you'd like to change your payment date to match your EOB, you're more than welcome to. In this case, we can just backdate it to the 31st. And now we're going to set up our write-offs. In the top right, you have your write-off box, and you want to select these in the same order to ensure you're posting in the same manner every time. The first one we're going to select is that negative check reason. Yours may differ a little bit from mine. I have negative check. Yours might say net negative payment. Yours may just say negative payment. Whichever reason your office uses, you want to select that and click your add button. Your next reason you're going to set up is either your chargeback or your lab charge. Again, some people notate this in different ways, but this is the amount that you are paying your lab to make those products. This is not a recoupment reason. And lastly, you want to put in your contractual write-off. I do use Vision Write-Off. Your office may use third-party discount, free, reduced. It's completely up to what your normal contractual write-off is. Now that we have our payment set up and ready to go, I just want to take a minute and go over what the EOB may look like for your practice. Remember, this is a completely fake EOB and it is used for educational purposes. Let's pretend this is the patient we're about to post for. In this case, IMED would have been taking back $18.77 out of our bank account if they were not rolling this amount forward to withhold it at a future date. That's the amount we're going to match to, that negative $18.77 for our IMED payment. On the left here are the products and or services that we have given or are ordering for our patient. And our chargebacks notated here as a negative 146 amount can be tied back to the very bottom left of this box. So in this case, we got a lab charge or a chargeback of $76, $16, $47, and $7 to total the $147. Again, our two major tieback amounts for this patient would be negative $18.77 and chargebacks of $146. Now let's head back into our payment in Revolution. We are going to find that patient listed on our EOB and go into the items hyperlink here to line item post that payment. This payment was for Miss Patty, so we're going to select the items hyperlink to open up the item details box. Because we set up those write-offs in the other screen, you will see that we have our payment column and our write-offs as transfer 1, 2, and 3. Transfer number 1 will equate in the bottom to number 1, which is our net negative reason. Transfer number 2 will be our lab charge. And transfer number 3 will be our vision write-off. When you post an overall positive EOB, even though some patients may be negative, you always put your negative and positive payment amounts here in your payment column. Because IMED is not taking this money back from our bank account and they're rolling it forward, we are going to completely ignore this entire payment column and we're going to move down one column to our negative check reason. We are going to pretend that this is our payment column in these negative situations. After looking at that EOB, we know if we were in a positive state, we would have been paid $40 on our exam. So I'm going to select my pencil icon, enter $40 in my payment amount, and I can select enter or click the next box to move down. I'm just going to click enter to move down to the next field. We were not paid anything on our refraction, nor were we paid on our base lenses, and that will bring us to our UV coating. For this one, we were not paid and we got a lab charge. So I'm going to select -7 to match that EOB. Click enter to move down, and we're on our frame line next. Here we would have been paid $89.23. Our next line is our AR coding. We would have had a lab charge of $47. Therefore, I put -47. I'm going to click enter. Again, another lab fee of -$2. Our progressives I have split between two lines, but you're more than welcome to group this on one line. It depends on how your office usually handles these. I'm going to put my lab charge of the -76, which leaves our polycarbonate, which is a -16 for the lab charges. Remembering our EOB, that's exactly that same tieback amount, the -$18.77. Now we're going to go through our transfer number 2, which is our lab charges or our chargebacks, and enter in those amounts. I'm going to skip the first few items because the lab charges didn't start taking effect until we got to our UV coating. Again, I'm going to select the pencil icon and enter in the amount of the chargeback. In this case, it was 7. Our next line is our frame, which does not have a lab charge. We're going to move down to our AR coding. Going to skip this progressive lens and do our 76. And lastly, our poly at 16. There is our second tieback number, the 146. Those are the same two numbers that I showed you earlier on the EOB. Now we'll go through our transfer number 3 column, which is our contractual write-off, and write off these balances. Again, selecting the pencil icon, I can enter in the amount and use enter. I'm going to go through this one fairly quickly. And when I hit enter, it pops back to the top, so I know I'm done. I can see on the far right that I missed a $40 balance, so I'll have to go back in, find that, and fix that one. Perfect. Now our balance is at 0, and our after payments and transfers amount is at 0 as well. We're going to select Save in the lower right and move on to our next patient. Our next patient on our EOB is Peter Quill. We're going to go to the right of his payment column and select Items. Just like our other patient, we're going to completely skip this payment column and move down one column. In this case, we would have been paid $95 for his frame. We had a lab charge of -7 and a payment on his single vision lenses of 5. Our tieback number would be this 93, which is positive, unlike our other one, which was negative. Again, we're not truly getting paid this, which is why it's in transfer number 1. And now we'll move down to our lab charges. We only received a 7 here on the mirror coding. So we are done there, and we're going to write off these balances in transfer number 3. Our after payments is 0, and our after payments and transfers is 0 as well. We'll select Save. We're going to do one more patient today. This one is a contact lens only. We're going to go into Pan Parker's items on the right. Usually with contact lenses, you number 1, don't have any lab charges, and number 2, you have very little write-off, if any. They usually pay in full, so it's a fairly straightforward situation. Just like our other ones, we were not truly paid, but we're going to put what we would have been paid. In this case, they would have paid $75 this entire balance, and $75 this entire balance. Now, I can leave these additional write-off reasons. It does no harm to leave them, or if you prefer, you're more than welcome to remove them if you would like to remove them, or you can leave them. In this case, I'm just going to remove them so you can see how that will look. We're going to remove our lab charge and our vision write-off and select Save. You are going to follow these same steps for any other patients that you have listed on your EOB. You're going to keep entering the almost payment in the first column, your lab charge chargebacks in your second column, and your contractual write-offs in your third column. Once you have finished all the patients on your EOB, you will notice your payment column is 0, and again, that is completely correct. Once you're finished, you will select Apply Payments in the lower right to post this payment. Now that we have successfully posted our net negative payment, I want to take a look at a few reports to see how this changes the reports in Revolution. You're going to select your reports module, and on the far left, you're going to click Accounting. You can use the deposits or the deposit slip depending on which report you use in the office. Today, I'm going to select Deposits. I'm going to leave this as Deposits by Payer, and I'm going to change my date range to see that payment I posted. Here's my location. I can single click it to open it. It was an insurance payment. I'm going to single click again. And here's that IMED payment. We had 3 patients that were posted on it for a total deposit of 0. This is truly accurate to what's happening within your bank account, as IMED did not take back or recoup that amount. This communicates that those 3 claims were processed, even though we didn't truly receive money for them. Now let's take a look at how those adjustments affect your sales report. On the left, we're going to go into sales, and we're going to change the report type from all sales by type to adjustments by type. I did change my date to a custom date range just because I messed up some of my reports today by removing and adding these adjustments again. So I want to show you originally what this report looks like. Now that we have our adjustments by type selected, you can single click the location name, then you can single click the word write-off, and this will list out your write-offs within that date range. If that EOB had been an overall positive amount, they would have paid $65.77. This is a really good indicator to your doctor what would have been paid if you were in a positive status, all while keeping your lab charges and your chargebacks at their correct amounts and in their correct columns. This concludes our video on posting net negative insurance payments. Please remember to use our knowledge base and contact support for additional assistance.